Hi, my name's Matt Boone and I'm a third year veterinary science student at James Cook University. We recently went on a small ruminant week excursion to Longreach to be educated about the sheep industry in that region. We all really enjoyed the trip, especially the hands-on activities that we got to do. This photo here, it's a photo of alpacas. On some properties they're used as guardian animals for their sheep flocks, so you put an alpaca with your sheep flock to protect it from wild dogs. Wild dogs are a very big problem. This picture shows a variety of dog traps that are used. Yeah, so when you set them out, usually you bury them under the sand. You bury them in the dirt, and then you'll put some sort of bait on top of the trap. So you might put another dog's feces, because with wild dogs, if they're roaming in some sort of territory and they smell that scent, they'll be attracted to that scent just to find out what it is. And they sniff the dog feces. One of the hands-on activities that we got to do was tipping sheep. So it basically consists of tipping a sheep on its backside, and by doing that we can then do a physical examination on the sheep, so examine its belly, look at its teeth just to see if anything's wrong with it, look for parasites as well. We got to do another practical in an abattoir room, looking at the sheep muscles that basically make up the sheep. And Mr. Henry Zerby, he was our lecturer at the time, he basically cut apart the sheep and showed us all the different muscles and how these different muscles contribute to the different meat cuts that you'll buy at Woolworths or Coles. So, for example, this picture here shows a rack of French ribs, so you'll get them at your fancy restaurants and pay $50 for it. By far the most interesting component of our sheep week was the sheep necropsy we got to do. So we got to perform sheep necropsies on them to find out what was wrong. This is a picture of one of the sheep that was being dissected. You can see a bit of the intestine kind of dragged out on the sheep. That intestine actually stretched for about 10 to 15 metres, so you really get a feel for how long or how big some of these organs really are and how they can fit them all together in a little sheep. We eventually found out that, or at least one of the sheep was infested with barber pole worm, or Haemonchus contortus. It's a blood-feeding parasite and it's not very good for sheep. On one of the property visits while we were out there, a sheep died. So our pathologist that was on the trip with us, she performed a sheep necropsy on it, and we found that it actually had triplets, which is not very beneficial for the sheep because, especially during the drought season, it's very hard for them to maintain that pregnancy. And so because of the stress of it all and all the energy being consumed. Also very interesting was watching the shearing process underway. We got to go to one of the properties and they had a shearing shed and they had their shearers in for the day to shear. I believe they sheared about 600 sheep in one day, which in my opinion is quite a task. And overall the trip was incredibly enjoyable. It was a lot of fun, and I dare say it's probably the best excursion we've been on in a veterinary science degree so far.